So we've got Jamie Lee Thurston in the studio. Jamie, I want to thank you so much for playing a song live on the air, coming to see us. You also like helping America's veterans. You're working on a project right now. It's a mini documentary. I caught the trailer on YouTube. It'll be on our Facebook page today. Ghosts in His Eyes. It's helping raise awareness and money for veterans with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. So the trailer's up on YouTube. When can we expect the final product of that Ghosts in His Eyes?
We're rededicating ourselves towards that to get that finished towards the end of the year. Very excited about it. Right now we're talking with a media company about it being a Netflix, Amazon Prime,
Nice.
Hulu type of thing. Maybe a full-length hour thing. We don't really know yet. I was telling you off the air that I realized that what makes me feel good is helping people.
Yeah.
Where instead of worrying about myself all the time, so helping people is where I'm at. It was a buddy of mine who went to Iraq, came back, and I asked him what it was like, and he goes, dude, you can't even imagine. He goes, it is so, let's just start with this. It's so hot. It's all sand everywhere. And he goes, and they bomb you 24/7 to try to keep you from sleeping. And he was a medic, and he would go out on patrols. And he said, dude, he goes, as soon as you're out, they're shooting at you. You don't know IEDs. Even if imagine driving along a road and not knowing at any point in time if there's a bomb planted. I mean, and I've got footage, I don't know if it's in this trailer or not, of a dude who was inside a Humvee when a bomb went off, an IED. But my medic friend said, he goes, dude, the things that I've seen, he goes, you just can't unsee it. So that stuck with me. And years later, when I was writing songs, I just said to my buddy, hey, I got this idea, and I remember my friend, and I said, I wonder what it's like when you come back, because you can't unsee it. I mean, it's like on a small scale, say you're at a stoplight, somebody rear ends you for the next however long. Anytime somebody comes up behind you at any rate of speed, you're going to cringe because you think they're going to hit you. That is a minuscule thing of what it's like with post-traumatic stress and the traumatic brain injury of the explosions and whatnot. So anyways, wrote this song, and it's been a long project, but a labor of love. And those people, I've talked to guys before, and I've like, hey, man, oh, you're in the military? Thank you. He goes, well, I was never deployed. I'm like, dude, it don't matter if you were or you weren't. You signed on that dotted line. So that alone takes a huge amount of huevos just to do that.
Yeah.
So all that to say, you can tell I'm pretty passionate about it. And I'm excited of what the second half of 2017 is going to bring to be able to get that out there and help those guys.
So in your experience, you have friends that are affected by this, PTSD, even traumatic brain injury, and you've worked with a lot of people through the charities. In your experience, what works for these veterans to help adjust them to normal life, even with all their triggers and the images that stick with them? I would imagine that being part of some group where they can relate to other people that deal with the same thing. Is that true in your experience, what you've seen?
Funny you say that, because I've suffered with depression since, I don't know, I guess the first time I can really remember being like that is in high school. So dealing with that, you go through some dark stuff. I used to say to friends, when I'm in that spot, I used to say, if I could just see a sliver of light, then I know what direction to walk towards. But when it's dark, you just don't know where to go and what to do. So talking with these guys, I just, I'm pretty much an open book. And I would tell them, hey, man, I get the darkness. And when they see that, they're like, whoa, and they open up to you.
Yeah.
And it becomes, they open up because they know you get it. Now, I'm in no way, shape, or form saying that I have gone through anything of what they've gone through, because I'm not even close. But the spot in the middle, I liken it like a cave where all of these tunnels lead to this dark place. And it really doesn't matter how you get there. If you've been to the dark place and you can't get out, it's just a bad place. So I guess I look at the depression thing as a blessing that I can actually understand these guys at least a little bit, and then offer them some shoulder or some support or somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
There's a lady that runs a veterans house in Vermont I've spent a lot of time with, who's an angel. And, of course, her sons are in the military. She helps them. It's like a halfway house, because a lot of these guys, man, what doctors do a ton of times, they just put them on massive amounts of drugs. And that's how, the opiates and all that stuff, it just messes them up.
Yeah.
So there's different organizations out there. Like there's this one organization I worked with where they literally build hospitals, and they are the leader in post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury treatment. So that's a pretty amazing thing. So I'm going to pair up with the right, as I was telling you off the air, the right organization to reach and do the most amount of good as possible. So I know some of that stuff works. I know that the lady's done stuff that works, and I know it's a tough gig, man.
Yeah.
I mean, when you got that stuff in your head, you can't get it out. They start to medicate you, and then you get hooked on the opiates. And so not only do you deal with the BS of the post-traumatic stress and the traumatic brain injury, but now you're hooked on a drug.
Yeah.
So it's crazy stuff. But
Something that strikes me as weird that I caught in the trailer was the amount of veterans that don't want to be thought of as brave or heroes.
yeah.
When as someone who hasn't served in the military, has nothing but the utmost respect for people who have, I just don't understand why it creates such a disconnect, because the way that you see them from a third party versus the way that they have seen it through their eyes, just like we're talking about the song Ghost in His Eyes, like they live with things, a different understanding and perception of the world that we'll never relate to. And that, I think that disconnect is some of the most difficult acclimation that somebody coming back from war can have to the public. So like you said, somebody who's been in that mental place, even if you've just dipped your toes in the water that they drown in every day.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
As long as you're showing them that I've looked down the deep well that you're in right now, and I've kind of seen that. So hey, some human connection can even just help that out. So if you know someone who's suffering with this stuff, maybe just talking to them, maybe just listening.
It's funny that you said all that stuff, because I say all the time, and I deal with it on a different basis, so where some people are like, I play on stage and they see me as this, but you said it best, man. You never see yourselves as other people see you, because You're looking from the inside out. They're looking from the outside in. I look at them exactly the way that you do.
Yeah.
And that is, these dudes are heroes, and they just don't see themselves like that, which blows my mind. Mind.
We got to come up with a new word that kind of lets them know how we feel. I think
it's a great. I'll tell you, I was in Kentucky about a month ago on this radio tour that I've been doing, and I was near Fort Knox, and this guy Steve, who was just the best dude, was a DJ, and I couldn't figure out what other song I was going to play, and then it was like, Fort Knox, I'm going to play Ghost in His Eyes. So sang the song acoustically, me and Lerv, and all of a sudden a lady knocks on the door of the studio and goes, "Hey, you guys got a phone call?" And this guy calls in. His name was Richard, and he goes, "Hey, it's Richard." And he goes, "Hey, I was in Vietnam," and he said, "I was a sniper." And he goes, "And I just heard you sing that song. I was just wondering." He goes, "How'd you come up with that?" And I told him the story about my friend and how my friend told me what it was like. This guy lost it. I mean, I get chills just thinking about it. I mean, he broke down and started weeping on the radio and just said, because he's like, "That's exactly what it's like, man. I've been dealing." I mean, wow, it makes me emotional now just saying it, because the guy is 70 odd years old. When he came back from Vietnam, those guys were ridiculed so bad. He said he got to DC and was waiting for a plane, and the lady at the counter had talked down to him for some reason, and then while he was waiting in line, this dude said, "Hey, there's one of those baby killers right there." And he was in a fight and spent his first time back on American soil in jail because of that. And he carries that stuff around, man. And this guy is a bad motor scooter. I mean, so you could tell I'm passionate about it. I like to help people, and you get it, man. You describe it and say a lot of the same things that I've said.
I think the last component that we can even touch on right now is sharing the stories, because no one has time for this. The news isn't going to make time for it. Even country radio, we're not going to make time for it. We got to play music. We got to make people feel good. as long as we dedicate once in a while, slow down, take a deep breath, and acknowledge the fact that there's this whole population that they work with us, they go to the same grocery stores, their kids go to the same schools.
I was just going to say that same thing. It's not just them. It's the wives. Yeah. It's the husbands. It's the kids. It's the moms. It's the dads, the parents, the grandparents, the family, all around that. I mean, you think of the wife or husband at home while they're out there doing what they're doing, getting shot at every day.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I always say, man, spread the good one person at a time. So as long as we're raising awareness and talking about this, then we're doing good things.
Definitely. And I want to give a shout out, Shauna Berry. We've worked with her with the Wishes for Warriors Foundation. They're a new foundation, and what they do is when soldiers come back from war, they just help accomplish something that just kind of takes the stress off, even just for a day. And we work with them through the Some Gave All softball tournament.
Oh, that's cool.
Sergeant Ian Michael Curtis was a dear friend of Shauna's and her husband's, and he was deployed with her husband, and he took his own life. They started the Wishes for Warriors, which helps grant those wishes, and a scholarship foundation in his name so that the children of veterans can go to school and afford to get an education as well. So she's done great work with us. We love talking to her. And Jamie, I just want to thank you for all your work with the veterans, and Ghosts in His Eyes will be playing that. You can catch it on our Facebook page as well. Thanks for stopping by and playing some music as well.
TJ, you're the man,
it's
man. You
fun.
get it. Yeah. You're the real deal.
Thanks, man.
Well,
I appreciate it.
And you don't see yourself as we see you, too. So that's the real deal, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Jamie Lee Thurston.